Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here and I really appreciate your time. I'm gonna be reacting to Mayowas World video. Y'all don't really like dark skin unless they're conventionally attractive. That's not the title, but that's basically what the video is about. And I'm gonna be playing it on my TV and reacting while I am doing my nails. So I have all my stuff here. I have my little gel lamp. This is where I do my nails at in my house. So I'm gonna be playing it and then stopping and then giving, my thoughts on what she's saying. And first of all, I want to say I really enjoy Mayowa's World as a content creator. I found out about her maybe like I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. We're kind of similar, but in other areas I kind of like don't fully agree with her. And so when I saw this video, I was like, okay, this looks like something I want to watch and react to. And I wanted to do it while I'm doing my nails. I wasn't going to do my nails, but I also wanted to do a reaction video to this. So this whole thing with Olandria, Huda, and Shelly on the new season of Love Island is currently going viral all over internet, and it has people talking and saying all types of things. Mind you, these are my UV light protective gloves, and I don't wear my ring when I do my nails. So basically, it sparked a whole bunch of conversation about, you know, Olandria supposedly being a mean girl, and on the other aspect, and many other aspects, it's sparked conversation about how beautiful and attractive Olandria is. And so it has caused people to be, like I always say, confronted with the fact that Black beauty exists. It's just unfortunate because a lot of the time the media is dedicated to certain narratives. We don't see it pushed. But when it comes time for these type of shows to cast Black women, for some reason it seems to be so hard to find beautiful Black women. And particularly with these like love type shows like Temptation Island, or what is it called? Something, what's the show on Netflix? I forget the name of it. But anytime, this is the builder gel that I use. So this is the new box, a new bottle. Whenever it's time to cast Black women, for some reason, no one can find Black women. So I think that's particularly why this season went off the way it did, because it's shocking that they were not only able to find one gorgeous Black woman, but there was like three or four, or maybe even five on the show. And in this day and age, that's rare to see. And I think it's, possibly because of the conversations people have been having online, where they're like, hey, like, where's the Black women? Like, why don't we see Black girls on the show? And typically when we do see them, there's like one token one, and then she gets treated really poorly. Like, when are we going to see Black women, you know, as the love interest, or as the, just representing in a way that showcases that yes, many of us are attractive, many of us are desirable, people do find us attractive, right? It seems like they intentionally, went and found the most beautiful Black women, or maybe not went and found, but they were sure to cast the beautiful Black women that exist that are available. That's the best way to put it, because I don't want to make it seem like it's rare to find a beautiful Black woman or a beautiful dark skinned woman. That's completely false. Like I say on my channel, like, I fundamentally believe Black women are exotic. We are just as exotic, if not the true exotic looking beauties that exist. Many of us come in an array of skin tones, shades, phenotypical traits, hair types. We speak many different languages. We have many different cultures. We are not monolithic, and neither is our beauty. So I'm gonna say play her video on my TV that's up there. You can see it, and then I'm going to pause and react. So that's the whole like spiel.
So today we're going to be talking about a viral tweet I had that brought on a large amount of hate for something that I think is actually pretty simple, and I wanted to talk about it more here. So a couple weeks ago I tweeted, "Y'all only love dark skinned girls when the body's tea." And I just thought that was a pretty simple tweet. It was something I had been reflecting about when it comes to colorism. And when I tell you, that tweet went so viral on X, it ended up getting over 100,000 likes. millions of views, and so much hate. Like hate that I thought was really concerning, considering the fact that what I'm saying, in my opinion, is pretty simple. I think people get very uncomfortable with conversations around colorism and talking about the experiences of dark-skinned women. But that is something that is really of interest to my work, and I'm not backing down because of it. So I am fully aware that every single woman is held to a standard that she must always be presented as perfect. But if we can understand that things work in a continuum, then we should be able to understand that dark-skinned people are also experiencing a more severe form of it. If we can accept that Black women are held to a higher standard than white women, then I don't understand how we can't see how in the Black community, dark-skinned women are going to be held to a higher standard than lighter or light-skinned women. Some people decided to edit my tweet and say you only love girls when the body is tea and take out the fact that I mentioned dark skin, but that is literally erasure. And I am a dark skinned person talking about how dark skinned women are expected to be essentially very perfect physically, mentally, emotionally, and all of the above. Somehow on Twitter, people had thought that I was talking about Olandria, who prior to that tweet, I didn't know who she was. I'm not watching Love Island. I've only watched 2 Love Islands ever. I watched the one with Serena. I also watched Love Island UK with India and Dami. And the only reason I watched both of those was because I knew the dark-skinned women were doing well in both of those Love Islands. So I don't know anything about this newest Love Island, but people were assuming that I was jealous of Olandria, which I don't really understand why. Some of those fans are kind of scary. And they were saying that Olandria praise was getting to me, and that was the reason I was tweeting it out of jealousy. But if y'all know my work, you guys know I've been talking about colorism prior to Love Island. Yeah, I've been talking about colorism.
Yeah, honestly, I can vouch for her. She is not the type that would be jealous of Olandria. I think, if anything, um, given this particular conversation, I think that she is more concerned about why there's open praise for a dark skinned woman now versus the lack of praise that we may or may not get like periodically. And like I said before I started this part of the video, is this particular season of Love Island has had more darker skin, brown skin, just black women in general that are genuinely beautiful, that are doing well in the competition. And with a lot of these love shows, you don't even want to see black women oftentimes represented because they're used in a way that's just clearly for entertainment. They're embarrassed. As a black woman myself, I don't watch a lot of these shows like I used to because I just get tired of seeing black women dogged out and lied and played and manipulated and mistreated. Like after a while, it gets old. And also, like I said, because I'm older, I recognize and realize when you constantly feed yourself negative messaging, you internalize that. So I'm not going to watch a show that constantly displays black women or shows black women in situations where we're getting tricked, um, mistreated, played, I'm not going to watch that because I understand psychologically what that will do to me simply by just consuming it from watching it. I don't want to consume negative information or negative messaging, and so that's why I don't watch those type of shows. So I stopped watching Love Island, like she said, a few seasons ago, but I started seeing like the pictures come out of these beautiful girls. I'm like, oh my God, like this is Love Island. Like, since when they cast all these beautiful black women? So that's what actually drew my attention to the show. And I think that the reason why her tweet went viral is because oftentimes what people will do when you are saying something very simple and yet it's poignant in the fact that it's challenging something that they personally believe or think, people will intentionally misrepresent what you're very clearly saying so that they have an argument to present against what they want you to say versus them realizing that they can't present an argument to what you're actually saying. This is something I encounter on my channel a lot. People will not be able to address what I'm actually saying in the video, so they'll take what I'm saying, like a phrase, and then they'll twist it or remove certain aspects of it or not listen to what I said in my entirety, like my whole statement, and pick what they want out of it so that they can then have an argument against me or a way to justify whatever negative feelings they have towards me or my video. That's what people do. So I'm sure that this tweet went viral and those type of people were responding in droves. And like I said, when people don't want to address their colorism, their texturism, their racism, their internalized anti-blackness, the first thing they'll do is lash out and bash you because you're pointing to it, you're putting a finger on it. So that's what I feel like is most likely happening here. Like I said, as someone who regularly watches her videos, like, people tend to think that if you address colorism for the way that it is, that it means that you are somehow suffering from low self-esteem yourself because you're addressing colorism or you're discussing intersectionalism in a way where colorism affects womanhood and black womanhood. People, again, instead of addressing what you're saying, it's easier to attack you personally. And that's really what happens a lot of times in her comment section is she'll say things that make sense, say things that are oftentimes true. But like I said, she has like an extreme sort of like views on certain things that I don't always agree with. But generally speaking, Maya will present an argument that is completely founded, truthful, um, and somehow people will shift that to, oh, well, you're just ugly, so that's why you feel that way, or you're just, this, that, and the third. You're jealous. Like, people hurl those phrases around because, like I said, they don't want to address what is actually being discussed. And while I'm sure she'll get into the video, the more we watch, she's going to probably explain why she feels that way. But why I feel like the body is tea part is frustrating for people is because a lot of people don't view black women or visibly black women, and our features as beautiful. And I think this harkens back to a lot of times, the early 2000s hip hop culture that was really promoted by black men's magazines and even music videos is a lot of times our beauty is sexual. It's not, we don't get a chance to be admired for our beautiful faces, our beautiful features, our beautiful skin tone, our beautiful hair. We don't get to be admired for that. A lot of times when someone is telling a black woman she's beautiful or referring to her as beautiful, she's most likely shapely. And while there's not always a negative aspect of that, but why that can become problematic is, you don't realize that you reserve beauty for people who are closer to white and people who have semblances of whiteness. And the more darker skin, the more Bantu featured, the more West African featured, the more black they look. Okay, then the beauty, it's neck down. And this is what I ran into a lot when I was in the conscious community, is that a lot of their Mother Africa and, oh, the black woman is the queen, and, oh, black beauty and blah 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 blah. It has nothing to do with beauty. And beauty is your features. Like, let's be very clear. Beauty is your facial features, the way they appear on your face. Which again harkens back to why I say a lot of black women are exotic, because if you look at a lot of our features across the diaspora, we're gorgeous. Like, genuinely speaking, we're gorgeous. No matter how much they've tried to downplay it, it's clear in real life. Fuck that. But a lot of times, the beauty was not the face. It was not even really the skin tone past the pro black symbolism of it. It's how wide is your hips, how big is your ass. That's what's beautiful for a black woman. So let's continue.
Yeah, I've been talking about colorism for a really long time. I actually just tweet about colorism nonstop and talk about colorism nonstop because that's my work. But because of that, it had me more curious about this Love Island dynamic and other celebrities who are held to standards where they have to be physically perfect to be seen as the acceptable kind of dark skin. Somehow through this tweet, a lot of Love Island fans decided to say I was ugly and put up a picture of me next to Jana, like Miss World versus Thames from Wish, to say that in contrast, I was an uglier version compared to Jana. And other people said I was the head of the miserable, insecure, moral superiority complex mammies. Anya, I was called a mammy, y'all. I was called a mammy for this tweet. Yeah, and people were calling me Apegerian, like to be insulting, like black girls. I don't know if they're really black people online, who knows? But
Ooh, yeah, this is what I mean when I say, like, the unhingedness that people are often comfortable with displaying is rather concerning. Um, if you are attacking someone because you think they're jealous, like let's just say Mayowa was jealous, right? If you're attacking someone because you believe that they're jealous of someone else's attractiveness, if that's your whole argument, for you to then go and call them a off-brand Tim's or some other xenophobic, anti-black, racial epithet adjacent name, once you cross over to making fun of someone's beauty and they and what you're making fun of is the fact that they are African looking, your point is gone, babe. Like you can't defend Olandria and in the same breath tell Mayowa, well, it's your Africanness that's ugly. What, like I don't understand. I don't understand. Like that's why I always talk about this on my channel, and I don't care who doesn't like it. Anti-blackness is so ingrained in so many of the things that we say and think about ourselves. I think sometimes it goes undetected, and people don't even realize how bad it is. Like how lost they are, how deep it is. Like I honestly don't think African features are ugly. I actually think African, as in like Bantu, West African, our ancestors, people who are closer to that because they are a part of the diaspora that was able to stay in the continent of Africa versus migrating over or being brought over in slave ships to America and then having things diluted, right? I don't think that that beauty is less than or ugly. And so that's why if I was going to insult someone about me thinking they're jealous, the first thing I'm not going to pinpoint is the fact they look African. That doesn't work. Like that's not a consistent like argument. And I think even with other black women, a lot of us are suffering from this idea that I want to be black, but I don't want to be really black. So I want to be a black woman. I'm okay with being a black woman, but I want to be a black woman with straight hair, and I want to be a black woman with king features, and I want to be dark skinned, but not like deep. That's like a real thing. Like that's where the subtleness of anti-blackness is like wiped over by black women because they don't want to address whatever they really think about themselves and what they think about blackness in a larger scale. Like I said, like if you really don't have a true grip on reality and you really don't understand that a lot of your mentalities and a lot of your mindsets and a lot of your personal held beliefs privately are tainted by anti-blackness, then you're going to it's going to come out in your insults. Like typically how someone insults someone reveals what they think and where they are and how they see the world versus how they see themselves and others like themselves in the world. Like I said, I would never make an insult like that to someone because I don't think there's anything wrong. There's no diss in looking African. African women are some of the most beautiful, gorgeous, naturally attractive women on the planet. I'm talking about like you could go to a village in Africa and find a 10, or you could go to Lagos and find a 10. I mean, like village, like she got to walk miles to get her water and skin will be gorgeous. Not she don't have the skincare, she don't have all the shit that we over here in America use and all the procedures. I'm talking about lives in a village, has to walk miles to get water, doesn't even necessarily wash her face in the same manner in which you think about it here in America, and skin will be flawless. Okay. So the reason why I would never use it as an insult is because I genuinely don't feel that way. But if you do feel that way, if you do feel that the closer a black woman looks to West African, she is not as beautiful unless she got a fat ass. Let's continue.
But people who had images of black girls were calling me ape-gerian, like an ape, because I spoke on the fact that dark-skinned people are held to a higher standard. And there was this one tweet that I think really showed the mentality of people who are pushing up against my like my original post, and someone said dark skinned women have bad media representation. I rather for a hot dark skinned girl with a banging body represent dark skinned women than an ugly out of shape one. Why is everyone allowed to have good representation but dark skinned women? And I think that there's this like movement online of girls who feel like dark skinned women have terrible representation, and the terrible representation that they have in mind is anyone who is not very skinny. And so this tweet kind of like I feel like it's saying the quiet part out loud.
And this is again where her and I probably separate is in terms of our rhetoric and our thinking. I understand that realistically there is value in all bodies and beauty in all bodies. But but if we are honest, a lot of times Black women's beauties are down, our beauty is downplayed intentionally by the media to either represent us as different stereotypes, right? This goes all the way back to Jim Crow, the Sapphire, the Mammy. All of these things are chosen representations of Black women that are oftentimes not positive. And so while the fat Black women exist, while they're valid, while there should be representations of them, because oftentimes that that phenotype, that body shape is used to represent us in a negative way. I feel like it is extremely important that fit Black women are visible, that Black women with flat stomachs and defined calves and toned arms and clavicle, we need to see that because that is the beauty of us. They're beautiful fat Black women, yes, but we have not had the privilege over the decades to have diversity in our representation. Other races of women have. We haven't. Even when you go back to a lot of our movies, the movies that we watched in the 90s, like Big Mama's House and like that body type is associated with a stereotype. And I will take any day a Black woman who is fit, beautiful, has gorgeous skin, takes care of her skin, is either wearing her natural hair, we can get that, or something close to it, because that representation is extremely important. Like when I was growing up, my mom was the type of parent that bought me dolls of all races. I didn't have a bunch of white dolls that made me feel crazy. I didn't only have Black dolls. My mom would find a doll series and she would get me the white doll, the Asian doll, the Hispanic doll, the Black doll, whatever race doll they had, doll with the red hair. I had all the dolls. So I had all the races. I had all the ethnicities. So I grew up with the mindset that I have because I literally, as a child, I would practice understanding that, oh, there's beauty here. Oh, there's beauty there. Oh, there's beauty here. I didn't grow up thinking one doll was the most beautiful. And so when it pertains to, Black women's imagery, why is so necessary for Olandria to exist or for her to be getting the praise that she's getting? Because her face and her body is sweet. She has both. And she happens to be dark skinned. That is necessary because a lot of times when Black women are praised, you don't get to see all of them in one. She has to be light skinned or have loose. There's all these other, see, just as there are prerequisites for a Black woman to receive praise, there's prerequisites that cause Black women to go unseen. And so I understand what she's saying. I hold space, I give credence to what she's saying, that fat Black women need representation. All that I'm saying is when it comes down to the way society has chosen to represent us, we don't get the diversity. And so if I had to pick, I'm going to pick the good representation over the average or the typical representation because that has already been associated with negative stereotypes. And it shouldn't be. Being a fat Black woman doesn't mean you're ugly, doesn't mean you're uneducated. None of these things apply, but we have to be honest. This type of representation has existed. And it's existed because again, these stereotypes, these archetypes, these these labels have been designed for us, and it was designed so that Black people in America could be presented as less human, and that way it would be easier to continue to enslave us. These stereotypes were tools to use to dehumanize us. That was done intentionally.
Which is I people do not want to see dark skinned women if they are not very skinny and their body is not giving like a really stereotypically curvy skinny body. A couple weeks ago I did a workshop on colorism where I was talking about when you're dark skinned there's often like a balancing scale that happens. I feel like people feel like there's this feeling that if you're dark skinned you have to be very skinny and your body has to be very like perfect, as in skinny and curvy, right? And when I say perfect, I don't mean perfect to me. I'm talking about Eurocentric standards of beauty, right? So like a stereotypically curvy skinny body. And it also feels like if you're dark skinned you can't have your natural hair out, or you can't have very black features. Like there's always a balancing act where something has to give. Either it's your hair, either it's your weight, either it's your features, you know, or your skin color. Like there's always this feeling that when you're dark skinned, it is already a mark against you and you have to overcompensate by being either like really friendly, bubbly, having very straight long hair, having, you know, getting a nose job, having a smaller nose, having thinner features. There's just this feeling that there's things that you have to do to overcompensate for being dark skinned. And if there's anything that I want people to get away with this message is that this form of aspiring towards perfection within dark skin representation will not save you. Being a perfect dark skin person, being the token dark skin person, it will not save you. And some of y'all might have to go through life and learn that lesson yourself, you know, because maybe me saying it.
Video right here because this video is already long. What she's basically saying, what she has expressed here is the truth. But it's like I say all the time, we have to discuss things as they are and not as they should be. Unfortunately, because the way we've been socialized as a society, and the way Black people have been socialized as a community, and the way Black women have been socialized as a group. What I always try to talk about on my channel is let all that shit go, because most of it is not even as seared in reality as it was 15 years ago. Because social media is now a place where different people can come online and represent themselves and present themselves however they want. Why can't dark skinned and brown skinned women get online and fix our own self promotion with promoting ourselves correctly? See, I'm over this begging other people to see us or appreciate us or give us high praise or acknowledge our beauty. I'm over that. And like I said, I'm not going to be dismissive of my background. I was a professional commercial print model. I had my beauty validated in the most validating way it can be. And I also had a very like diligent, like dedicated mom who was not playing about my self-esteem. So I have those two components that drive me to not so much take in and soak up messages from the outside, because I had those validating things happen. Being a model, having a great mom. Okay, fine. I acknowledge that. However, because of social media, there's so much you can see that, like, there's just so much. There's so much you can see, and you can pick and choose what you allow to influence you. If you want to let sad, dark skinned narratives influence you, go ahead and do that. If you want to let happy Black women, happy dark skinned Black women who are living well and taking care of their skin and leaning into their Blackness and choosing aesthetics that go well with their phenotype, you can let those women influence you. It's literally about what you want to see, what your ears and eyes believe. Because a lot of times when Black women see dark skinned women who are happy, who are confident, who are unbothered, who are living great, who lean into their Blackness, they will tell us we are delusional. They will tell us that we're pretending, that it's not real. Your experiences are not real. No one, like, that's a real thing. And it's because, and like I say all the time, I remember when Chrissy tried to start doing more positive content, she was rejected. Y'all ain't want to watch that shit. Like, y'all didn't care about her trying to do a magazine. Like, y'all didn't want corrective promotion. Social media is now the new media. So you and however many other Black women coming online promoting yourselves, you are the new media. You are creating the new beauty standard. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to doing my nails, but like I said, go watch her video. It's excellent. Get below in the comment section. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what are your reactions to this whole thing with Olandria. Please let me know what you're thinking. All that I ask is that you be respectful in my comment section. That's all. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Take care.